So, we're back in the green as we're here for another episode of the Aston Martin Road to Glory. Now, if you haven't seen the last episode and what I mean by back to green, the last race at Silverstone, we drove a special one-off inverted yellow livery, so go check it out, link in the top right. And it was a home Grand Prix, so yeah, spoilers ahead, all that good stuff, go check it out. But here we are at Austria, sprint race number 2. As you can see, we have a triple upgrade scheduled to arrive on the weekend of the race. So first things first, we have R&D points to spend. As we go through the aero, then the chassis, I quickly realise we do not have any upgrades available. We do get a supplier upgrade, which is actually great, as it's an engine power upgrade for a power circuit, so great timing there from Mercedes. But besides that, all we have available is durability stuff. So I went ahead and purchased an upgrade for the ICE, but pretty much that's all we have. We cannot spend that point. Right now, we are solely dependent on Aston Martin bringing fabrication upgrades to level 2, spec 2, to improve car performance, because right now there is nothing left for us to do. So this is a bit complicated. Anyway, that aside, we're going to focus on the weekend. As you can see, we have 4 upgrades in total, thanks to the supplier one from Mercedes. No rain forecast, and we're on the balanced tyre allocation. So yeah, hopefully we can put these upgrades to good use and have a decent weekend. You can see we're now off the bottom of the table. We're now ahead of Williams once again, and we're actually pretty much neck and neck with Haas. So yeah, good progress being made and closing the gap all the time to the teams ahead as the general field spread keeps getting tighter. With that done, you can see we have confirmation of the upgrade we just bought, along with a major one for the aero, which is currently being made and is on the way to hopefully arrive in a couple of races time. So yeah, once that aero one arrives, that is pretty much it, I believe. I don't think we're going to have anything available, so fingers crossed Aston Martin deliver some facility upgrades and we can start to really push on with major and ultimate upgrades. As we got through practice, we had no dramas, car working well, pace was good, we smashed the practice programs and everything on paper was going well. We now jump into qualifying, as it is a sprint weekend, so straight into the action here, wasting no more time, and we're going to get straight into it in Q1, and we're going to see exactly what kind of pace we have and where we stand with these upgrades, now that we're no longer the worst team in terms of our performance. Making our way through the final 2 corners here at the end of my first push lap, and it wasn't anything spectacular. Not terrible to be fair, but last place at the time, which is P10 behind everyone, and quite a ways off. I knew there was more time to find, so I went for a cool down lap and then a second push. I was fueled for 2 runs, and you can see we're 2.5 tenths up, and this looks very strong. Make that 3 tenths now in sector 2. Over us 10th up on Sonoda in P16, but we just invalidate on the exit there, and that is going to put an end to that lap, which we was 3.5 tenths up on. So if you do the math, that would have put us approx where Lance Stroll is on a 104.7 dead. So, a 104.8 dead. Sorry, my bad. So either way, we're gonna try again. Fresh set of tyres, and we have fuel for a second lap if we need it, as Austria is very low on fuel consumption, believe it or not. So here we are, currently improving as we find a bit of time through turn 1. Not as much as I had done on my previous runs. I was a 10th up in the first sector at this point on my previous attempt, so I know there's more time to find. We have a bit of a scruffy turn 3 hairpin. However, somehow I was able to kind of make the oversteer work, and we find a big chunk of time, and we've essentially now got level to what our previous lap was. But then into turn 4, the rears lock, we have a huge snap, and that is going to be the end of that lap. With 45 seconds left on the clock, I just basically coasted for the rest of the lap and tried to recharge the battery and cool down the tyres, and we're going to just cross the line with 10 seconds to go to get one more attempt. So turn 1, I know there's time to find. We hold it in 5th gear, and this time you can see much better as we're a 10th up already, which is more or less what I'd done on my best attempt. Up towards turn 3 on the brakes, 3rd gear, didn't quite catch the apex, outbroke myself a little bit, and we lose time. I do get a good exit, but a shake of the head as I know I've messed up and we've lost time overall, which is really, really poor, considering we gained literally like a 10th and a half on that previous lap with the kind of oversteer. We basically lost time, which is essentially like a 2/10 loss. We have a beautiful turn 4 though, And again, just missing the apex a little bit through 5 and 6. It's just not really a clean lap. It's a very scruffy lap as the checkered flag drops. This time we keep it within track limits, but we're a 10th down compared to what we was at one point through this section before we, of course, had to pull out because of the invalidation. Through the final 2 corners now, just kind of closing out the lap, and I don't think this is going to trouble anything as shake of the head across the line, and it's last place in P20. So, yeah, bit of a shame. What do I think was possible? Maybe P18. I think Stroll was a bit too quick for me, but I think P18 on an absolutely perfect lap could have been possible. I think there's about 2 tenths, just over 2 tenths in that lap if I had a cleaner version, especially, you know, turn 3, where I lost about 2 tenths compared to what I did do on the previous lap, and then a few other details here and there. But nonetheless, we then went through FP2 and closed out the practice programs to then set us up for the race. So guys, let's get into it. Race 1, the sprint race. Let's see what happens. Starting from the back of the grid, nothing to lose. So let's send in hope for the very best.
Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting sprint. Max Verstappen put in a fantastic lap yesterday and he'll start from pole position, edging out Sergio Perez, who lines up P2. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Hamilton, Leclerc, George Russell and Norris, Sainz, Ricciardo, Fernando Alonso and Esteban Ocon, Bottas, Magnussen, Alex Albon and Gasly, Mick Schumacher, Tsunoda, Lance Stroll and Guan Yu Zhou, Latifi and Martinez. Which of these drivers will get pole position today? We will soon find out.
Right then, here we go. Time for the sprint. Last place, so we've got all the work to do to try and move up the order. It's going to be a short one, 12 laps, and then we'll move into the main event, and we'll, of course, use the information that we gather from the sprint to basically tweak things for the race. I'm going to go 0.5 extra fuel, and in terms of tyre pressures, I'm going for +2 on the front, +4 on the rear. So let's see if that does the trick, and if we have to adjust anything, we'll make the changes for race 2. And also, I may consider an engine penalty if this ends up being a bad race. Right, here we go. Let's get to it. Now the grid slot. Lovely. And let's see what happens. Nothing to lose. We'll send it and hope for the best. I'm not expecting my pace to be great. But here we go. Great first phase.
You hold, the faster that capacity will drop.
Got a really good first phase on the start. Second phase not so great. Tried to get a cut back there, but just lost too much momentum. Let's see what happens as Stroll defends the inside up into turn 3.
Yellow flag.
Oh.
That looked bad. Are you alright? Let me know you're okay.
Well, this was a bit of an unfortunate one. Oh dear, oh dear. So that was a bit of a disaster, so we'll go ahead and take that as an opportunity to update some engine parts. So we'll take an extra ICE due to the failure, and we'll also take an extra control electronics and energy stores. We have only 2 of those. And that leaves us with essentially 1 full engine left, basically, for the rest of the season, along with the one that we're using right now. So we'll definitely start from the back. So let's get into it and let's fix this situation.
This is it then, race day in Spielberg for this year's Austrian Grand Prix. Not long to go before our drivers hurtle off the line and into the first turn, the Niki Lauda curve, as it was renamed in 2019 in memory of one of Formula One's most beloved figures. The Spielberg circuit then is situated 700 metres above sea level, with just 10 corners making up one of the shortest laps of the season. One time around here is a distance of around 2.6 miles, with the best overtaking chances into turn 1 or the tight uphill turn 3. Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. World champion Max Verstappen starts from pole position, just ahead of George Russell, who starts this event from P2. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Perez, Leclerc, Lando Norris and Sainz, Ricciardo, Fernando Alonso, Gasly and Yuki Tsunoda. Hamilton, they've taken a grid penalty. Joe, Kevin Magnussen and Albon. Stroll, Mick Schumacher, Nicholas Latifi and Esteban Ocon. Bottas and Martinez. Now, it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track. Anthony Davidson joins me once again in the commentary box, and it's fantastic to have you here with us today. But I'm curious, as a man with experience out on the track, how do you stop those pre-race nerves from becoming overwhelming when you're lining up on the grid?
Well, I imagine they'll be starting to feel the adrenaline as they anticipate the rundown into turn one, a bit like preparing to go into battle. The unknown situation will bring nerves, but that's a good thing. It will keep them focused on the moment and on their surroundings as we build towards the start of the Grand Prix.
Right then, here we go. Hopefully, this time, no dramas. Not the best start. Delayed reaction to the lights. Let's confirm that we've got the engine in the back of the car, which we do. On the outside of Valtteri at turn one. Valtteri though keeps his car in, slight bit of contact as he fights for space. So we're on the outside line here, heading into turn 3. On the brakes, yellow flag. I'm trying to have a look here. We re-overtake Valtteri. Didn't quite get Latifi though, I just couldn't get the traction on the curb, which isn't ideal. But we'll take it. We're surviving, we're still alive, which is ultimately the main thing. So let's see if we can try and now make some progress. I'm not expecting to have great race pace, I'll be honest. I think I was a bit concerned how far off the pace we was in qualifying. So even though we're usually stronger in the race, I do remember, and the AI have always been pretty strong here, as we pick up a warning for track limits early on. There should be a fairly simple one stop. So yeah, Bottas having a look there, had to just hesitate. I might actually let him go, to be fair, if he's got more paces. Ocon goes to move on Stroll up ahead into turn 1, and there's contact between them both. Let's see if you have not the best exit. Let's see, there might be something in this for us. So Latifi looks to get ahead of Ocon, the Williams. Looking pretty slippery on the straight, pretty speedy. We're going to stab it around the outside of Latifi there. Opportunistic move. Had to be done. And it looks like we've got some really good straight arm speed as well. So let's see, Latifi behind us now as we look at Ocon, Stroll doing their thing. Ocon, I think, nope, doesn't get through. Stroll fights back. The Alpine looks seriously down on straight line speed. But there we go, Ocon now locks in the move. Let's see if we can make some more progress. We've got Albon just ahead of Ocon as well. But it looks like our straight line speed is strong, so that could be an asset to use. Similar to Silverstone in many ways, you know, that worked pretty well for us. And we've got a bit of chaos here. I think someone might have wing damage. This is what happens when you get these big... Oh god. This is what happens when you get these kind of big clusters. That's usually a bit of an issue. We're going to try and be opportunistic here and get a few places. We're going to move on Stroll. And we may have a chance to move around the outside again here. We both get past Albon, and we're going to use the straight line speed and the battery, the new engine, to go up the inside of Zhou and also get Ocon wrapped up. Excellent. Already P13, this is working out beautifully. Not sure who has an issue. It might have been Zhou, to be fair, who started it, but this is working out nicely for us. Schumacher a bit slow. I'm going to go for it. Get the elbows out. Like so. And just show that aggression. Just using the fresh engine and the battery. And that is now P12 as Ricciardo pits. So make that P11. What has happened here? All of a sudden, we are on for a points finish if we can get one more place. Okay, we've dropped Schumacher out of DRS range, which is nice. Personal best. Straight line speed looking very, very overpowered here, so it could actually be a serious weapon if we can stay competitive through the corners. Oh, yellow flag.
Caution, caution.
This is going to move us into the points.
Someone's come off ahead of you. There's a yellow flag ahead.
Perez out. And he has retired from the race. I think he's actually taken a Ferrari with him. I'm not sure if the Ferrari maybe is damaged or just stopped on track, but the Ferrari's lost time and it's at the front of the train now, so we'll see. Maybe it's got damage, but we're now P10 and in the points, which is huge. How has this happened in 6 laps? What a crazy start to this race. A bit like Baku, I genuinely didn't give myself a chance to get points, and somehow we're there, having started last. We're out of DRS though, so I'm going to use a bit of battery here to try and close back in. Right, we're keeping up. This is great. Personal best. And we're stretching a gap now to the cars behind. Ocon has pace. He maybe could catch up, but he would be the only one. He has now dropped Zhou from behind, so this is going pretty much perfectly so far. So I'll take a P10 right now, so I don't really care where we finish. As long as we can hold on to this position, that would be ideal. And we're doing exactly that right now. Hamilton going for the move. Magnussen just struggling to keep up over this last lap, and he locks up into 1. So we're going to go through. We almost take him with us there, but that's now P9, and I'm confident I can keep the position. Let's let Hamilton crack on here. I'm sure he'll have the pace to catch back up, so I'll just basically follow him. Okay, we've dropped Magnussen. Hopefully he'll battle with Ocon, and they'll hopefully both cost each other a little bit of time in the process. Hamilton's pace seems decent enough, so I think we'll catch back up here. First warning. We've also got a breakaway. The Ferrari at the front of the train has broken off as the Alpha Tauris were battling amongst themselves, and now Tsunoda under pressure here from Alonso. This is going to bring us into play, but this is now allowing the other Alpha Tauri of Pierre Gasly to get away as Hamilton gets involved. We're pulling out a gap though to the cars behind, so I don't mind. I don't have the pace to really keep up here, but these little battles and things just going on are helping us close the gap and stay competitive. Alonso has gone through definitively, and now Hamilton looking to go through.
Approaching the pit window now, and you're going to be on hard next time.
Tsunoda seems to be struggling for pace, and there's contact. Hamilton loses an end plate. I'm going to use this to try and pass them both. Let's see if we can latch on to Alonso and not let him get away. Trying to make sure I get the DRS, which I have. Our Tracton's been terrible out there all race, but Tsunoda's also missing an end plate, so maybe Hamilton's actually okay. It's Tsunoda who's got the issue. Either way, let's dump all the resources to try and latch onto Fernando here. Didn't quite keep up, and I've got no battery.
In this lap, push now.
This could be key now when we pit. I think I'm going to pit. Alonso's going to pit. Busy pit lane, could be an advantage. Let's go for it. Oh wow, that was perfect. Whew. Bang on the speed limit at the right time. I need a quick stop. We hold up Gasly a little bit. Let me go, let me go. Alonso did get held there by Magnussen, but not enough as we're behind him. But
Look after these tyres now, and we'll finish the race on this compound.
the one who has missed out is Pierre. He's at the back of all of us. Has massively lost out on that. Let's see if we can try and get DRS on Alonso here. Don't think I can. He's using battery, which is not ideal. So we're going to be vulnerable here. I'm actually going to let Hamilton go. Could be our best bet to try and follow him. He might be able to drag us back towards Fernando and basically reform the train. Schumacher has to pit, so not too concerned about him. I've just held on to Hamilton's DRS, but he's pushing really hard. Going to have to use all the battery again to close the gap. Cars in the pits. Crucially, we've got the DRS on Lewis. That's what I was looking for. And we've also dropped Pierre out of DRS range, which is an added bonus. Oh boy, I'm right on the limit here. Personal best, giving it absolutely everything. But we're keeping up, and we're dropping Pierre at a rate of knots, which is great. Hamilton's about to get DRS on Fernando as well. Kenny Lewis has DRS. I've had a horrible turn 1 though. That might just cost me DRS on the next straight, which is unfortunate. Or not. No, we get it, but we make a mistake. Oh, that's a big one. That might just cost us definitively now. Just got to try and keep Pierre out of DRS range. Hamilton and Alonso will battle, so we may get a chance to get back in. Alonso and Hamilton are absolutely flying. They're actually catching back up, and I think they're going to reel in the Ferrari, who originally got away. So that could become a 3-car scrap. We'll see how that works out. Maybe then we'll get some battling, but the gap is just growing, man. McLaren off at the final corner.
Okay, watch your pace. We've been informed the safety car is out. There appears to have been an issue
Oh
with
dear.
multiple stock vehicles on the track.
What do we do now? I think the set of mediums that I have is the set that I've just got rid of. I don't think you get to go back into the sprint tyre. Do I have a fresh set of softs? Yes, I do, but do I want a set of softs? I think I might be worth just staying on these, to be fair. I've done okay so far, and now I can use my straight line speed, so I think we'll just stay out. Here we go then, time for the restart. This is going to be tough, I think. The top 6. And to be fair, cars around us in full power mode are going to be tough to beat. But let's give it a shot, and let's see what we can do. We'll use the battery if we have to keep up.
Okay, clear.
But this will be the AI's, I'd argue, best chance to pass me right now. So very important here to try and stay clean. I'm a little bit worried about turn 3. My exit is really, really poor. Has been all race long. Up ahead, Sainz challenging Norris for P3, which is already going to cause a breakaway with the front 2, Russell and one of the Red Bulls. That wasn't too bad of an exit though, so let's see. 10 laps to go. Sainz under pressure from Alonso and Hamilton. No damage. Hamilton slow off 1. Slight bit of wing damage. I'm going to try and go through and pick up the position. Norris making a break for it. Alonso locks up, and in the midst of the chaos, I'm going to get both Spaniards through the middle and pick up the double for P4. I mean, we're not going to have the pace to pull away. I'll stay in front, but I'll try and do my best as Sainz lunges one up the inside of Alonso. This might give us a chance to break away, maybe. Probably not, though. Realistically, DRS will be enabled on the next lap. Alonso's much quicker than me, as we just run a bit wide. Let's see what kind of pace we have. This would be an amazing result if we could finish here. It's battling behind. I'm actually going to let Alonso go. I'd rather follow him. Oh, he locks up again. Never mind. I guess we'll take that in our stride. Force him onto the curb. And try and break away. He's not going to have DRS, so Sainz, get involved, mate. Get stuck in, Carlos. There we go. Let's now push. This might be a chance to really pull away. Just need to stay side by side for a couple of corners. And that's all we need to get the gap that Sainz, I think, has got ahead. Might still be able to break him, though. I think Sainz has got DRS.
Okay, the incident's been cleared. Let's get back up to racing speed. Come on.
Oh no.
Okay, slow down, slow down. Your delta's negative, which means you're going too fast. Reduce your pace.
Oh, that's such a shame. I just broke them. I had it right there. Safety car again. However, maybe we could challenge Norris now for a podium out of the blue. Right then, here we go. This should be, probably, the final restart of the race. So this will be key. Let's try and keep up with Lando. He's been punching above his weight all weekend, outperforming the McLaren. Should be realistically a decent car to follow. Back on the way then. And now I can keep the cars behind.
Green flag.
Behind me. So Just got to use the battery strategically in the right areas. Tyres are a little bit cold, so just going to be a little bit mindful. But we know we have the straight line performance. Signs draining here to try and make a move, so we'll have to respond to cover. But let's see what happens. I mean, I'll take a P4 right now. I'm not even really looking at Lando. Just need to make sure we stay within a second for when DRS gets enabled on the next lap. If Lando were to challenge Russell, that would be the icing on the cake, because I could potentially get a podium. Gap 1.1. Lando's very strong. I'll give him credit. Karen seems strong here, and I'm struggling to keep up. However, Alonso Sainz battle, that could be it right there. That could be a decisive moment. Alonso with the lunge on Carlos, and then battling.
Okay, we've been informed of an incident which has resulted in lots of loose debris on the track. A safety car is being deployed.
How? No one's retired. What? For the final time, this will be the last safety car, as it's literally impossible to get any more. There could still be a virtual, but not a full safety car. But yeah, this is it. Getting the last bit of tyre warm up as we lacked a little bit on the last restart. The Alfa Romeo that's lacking behind is not going to get a chance to catch up after pitting, so this is it. 2 laps to go. Let's try and get this P4 wrapped up, man. Twice I've broken Alonso and Sainz at the crucial moment.
Okay, clear.
And the safety car has brought them back into play, so I'm hoping that's the end of it. Horrible turn 1 from all of us, but extra poor from me as I have a horrible exit. I was trying to challenge Norris there and just nick a podium at the death, but I don't think it's going to happen. I'll keep trying, but oh, this is really letting me down. Another yellow behind. Alonso having a good exit.
There's been an incident on track, but officials aren't looking to push for a safety car right now. Just be careful.
Stroll out. I'm trying to keep Alonso at bay. He's putting pressure on. Could be an intense end to this race. There we go, we weathered the storm. Right, I think we've got this. Last lap of the race. Used all the battery. And we've managed to keep the gap to Fernando. What a result. P4 from last place. This is pretty much what F1 is all about and why we all love F1. But here we go, at the final corner, we finished 4th, and that is our best result.
Okay, pick up rubber and bring it home.
So as they climb out of the car, the Red Bull team are ready and waiting to celebrate a thoroughly deserved win. Tell me, Ant, how did they manage to achieve this win?
But they certainly stood out as a driver with tons of confidence on the track. I think their ability to keep their cool, even during some of the more hectic parts of the race, meant they were able to capitalise on the mistakes of other drivers, giving them the opportunity to make their way to the top spot with ease.
Red Bull put up an outstanding fight for the front position today, and it's great to see it paid off for them. They do so much for the sport that you can't help but be delighted by today's race win.
What a weekend, what a result. How the hell did we get that from last place? Great racecraft, excellent car setup, and the car actually drove really well in the race. Again, a bit of a Baku 2.0 from last to points, and Baku was insane. This is even better. I mean, wow, we just out of nowhere delivered. The pace wasn't great, but the straight line speed was so good that it just kept us in the race and kept us competitive and kept us in the DRS train, which is all that matters in these races. So let's have a look at the actual race results, as there's nothing to look at in the sprint as we didn't actually finish. So P4, great result and some actual solid points, which are going to do some serious damage in both the Drivers' and Constructors' Championship. So yeah, there's your top 10. AlphaTauri getting a few points, Alfa Romeo as well. Haas also in the points, which isn't ideal, but you know what? I can't complain. Of course, Stroll DNF'd at the end. Bottas with the fastest lap. But let's look at those standings. So, up to P12. That is more like it. Sainz is your championship leader. So we essentially went from P17 to P12 in that race, which is a great bit of progress, jumping a Haas, both Alfa Romeos and both AlphaTauris in the constructors, up to 8th, jumping Alfa Romeo, and we're 7 points behind Haas and 9 points behind AlphaTauri. So making progress. That 6th place is probably the target for this season. I think McLaren is a bit too far out of reach, especially with Lando getting that podium today, which definitely doesn't help. But yeah, guys, that is it for the race here today at Austria. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe. An absolute classic on the channel, from P20 to P4 in the second worst car. I think that deserves a subscription, and yeah, hopefully you enjoyed it if you are new to the channel. As always, a big shout out and a plug to the channel members for supporting the content. As always, check out the 2 videos on screen if you might give them a go, you might enjoy them. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care, and that's goodbye from me.